There was a story that Swami Kriyananda used to like to tell about Ramprasad, a saint in India. Ramprasad had a wife and a daughter, and one day he was out fixing a fence in the yard, and he was singing, as he loved to do. And his little daughter asked him, "Who are you singing to?" And he said, "Well, I'm singing to the Divine Mother, but she doesn't really listen." And then the little girl, skipped away and went off to play. And a little while later, Ramprasad went into the house, and he told his wife what had happened. He was singing, and his daughter asked, "Who are you singing to?" And his response. And the mother said, his wife said, "Well, that's not possible because our daughter is on the other side of town. She's not here." And he was perplexed. So a little while later, the daughter came home, and he asked her, he told her what happened. And she said, "No, I haven't been home. I was on the other side of town." And of course, then he realized that Divine Mother had been listening to him and had taken that form. Who do I hear? Is that Gracie? I love it. It coaxes me on, So this woman from Samaria that the readings talked about today, I wasn't raised studying the Bible. I was raised in a non-religious Jewish family, so it was pretty far from my awareness, unlike my husband who knows all of these things. But I looked it up on Google, and when you search on Google these days, it answers with AI, and it said, "The Samaritan woman is a character in the Gospel of St. John, known for her encounter with Jesus at Jacob's well. The pivotal moment highlights Jesus' teachings, his compassion for outcasts, and the importance of personal faith." And then I was sort of contemplating that and remembering that Swami Kriyananda wrote a song in his oratorio called "Living Well." And of course, it's based on Yogananda's explanations of the Bible, but on Swami's own inner experience when he visited Jacob's well. Jacob. Okay. And it's called "Living Water," and I'm not going to recite the whole song, but the relevant portion here says, "From living water, sipped in the silence, in spirit and in truth, break ego's spell." And I thought, well, that's pretty clear. That's pretty clear. I mean, what AI called personal faith, Yogananda would call breaking ego's spell, which each of us need to do in order to experience our own divinity. And so, but the other aspect of that is in spirit and in truth. And I realized that truth is one of the qualities that is needed in order to find the ways that that's our best worship. That is our best worship. We need to live in truth. When our children were little, I didn't know Sabri was going to be here. She grew up with my children at Ananda Village. And when they were little, they amazed me at their ability to always be truthful, not self-deprecating, just truthful. And it was dependable. In fact, so much so, I remember saying to my son, I don't want to have to scold you. Can't you hide it a little bit so I don't have to see it? You know, because they were just always truthful about situations and about themselves and self-honest. And I suspect it came from prior incarnations, because they both came in with it very strongly. Well, that ability to see truth and be truthful, you know, they say that a jnana yogi, one who experiences yoga or union through wisdom, is a lover of truth. It's a very, very, very powerful quality on the spiritual path. And so when we adhere to truth, then step by step, it's stepping stones guiding us, of course, always guiding us within, but also around us to those experiences that would put us in alignment with truth. And when we're in alignment with truth, we're in alignment with God, with the divine. You know, the Ten Commandments talk about truth. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he talks about truth. It's an essential quality on the spiritual path. And so when Swami says, in spirit and in truth, break ego's spell. In order to break ego's hold on us, we have to be willing to be completely self-honest and face whatever it is that we're facing square on, and know that in alignment with God, with truth, we have the power of the universe helping us to face it. There's another aspect to that, which is magnetism. Yogananda would describe the guru-disciple relationship as one of magnetism. He would use the example of the magnet, that when you have a very powerful magnet over here and you put a piece of metal next to it that's not magnetic, it will immediately become magnetized. And this is how a true spiritual teacher works with us. They don't try to, turn every molecule in our being around. They simply magnetize us with their presence, with their spiritual presence, which then uplifts us, which then helps us to draw more and more spiritual experience to ourselves, all within, going within. So when we talk about satsang, which Yogananda said is one of the key qualities, one of the key aspects of our success on the spiritual path, satsang meaning fellowship, meaning who we surround ourselves with. where we hang, what we do with other people, then that we talk about satsang here in this room. We've come together. We say with people of like mind, but it's not about the mind. It's about the spiritual energy, the spiritual effort that each of us are exuding in our lives, trying to improve and experience and better in our lives. And when we're in a room of other people who are trying to do that too, there's bound to be at least one with saintly quality that's helping to magnetize the room. And so that's the benefit of coming together in that way. It helps us as much as we can come together. That's the beauty of Yogananda's wish that there be communities. It's not his wish, recognition that there'll be spiritual communities moving in to the future. And Swami Kriyananda establishing many of those. And when you live in spiritual community, and this is a big spiritual community of its own, the Sangha, but when we do, we benefit cumulatively from each other's efforts. And we experience it in spirit. You know, maybe not physically, but in spirit and in truth, because that's how it works. And there's a third quality I wanted to touch on this morning, which is perseverance. It's one of my favorites because it requires perseverance. You know, Ram Prasad, he kept singing to Divine Mother, whether he thought she was listening or not. He kept singing to her. And so we too, by persevering in our spiritual efforts, there's a critical mass or magnetism that's built over time. Or it doesn't sometimes require a lot of time. It can happen, boom, like that, if our effort is strong enough. They say that Thomas Edison tried 43,000 filaments before he found the one that lit up the light bulb. So imagine if he had quit at 42,999, you know, it would have never happened, and he was that close. Yogananda said that about a woman who wanted to leave his ashram, and she did leave his ashram. He said if she had stayed 24 hours longer, she would have been freed from that karma. And so perseverance, not because, oh, I want to hedge all my bets and make sure I get there, but perseverance because we know that the experience of the full experience of God within, of cosmic consciousness, is our birthright. It is the divine promise to each and every person. And so here in this temple, we practice Yogananda's teachings and the teachings of this lineage. But if you notice in the niches around the periphery of the sanctuary, we have the symbols of many of the world's true religions, showing a respect for the universality in all spiritual traditions. It may not be ours, but it's somebody's. And we're going to respect that because it's essential for us not to silo ourselves, because then we get back into my way is the only way. And so always keeping in mind that we respect all traditions as Yogananda showed us to do. And then at East West Bookshop, which is now in Edmonds, we offer books from every tradition and modality that you can possibly imagine. And we're happy when people walk in and find what's theirs and walk out with something that they can do to walk their path, to find their truth. And so I think it's important, and I think it's important for Ananda to have East-West so that we can always remember that we're not just trying to make things perfect for ourselves, but we're always trying to help everyone as much as we can to facilitate finding what's right for them. So I want to just leave you with those